state of South Carolina again.
It's so good to finally meet you. I've watched you from afar, but to meet in person is a pleasure.
It is so exciting. And we've known each other on social, and I've followed these wonderful stories you do. They're not very often, but this time you get to the airport and they hand you a ticket.
And it's a surprise. And so I get on a plane, I fly there, and I have 48 hours to find a story. It's nerve-wracking because it's a chair where anybody can sit down, and sometimes you get the wild and sometimes you get the funny. I'm always looking for the heartfelt. I don't care what it is, I just want you to pour your heart out. And if you're willing to do that, and if you're willing to tell me a story that is both inspiring and relatable to America, I'm in.
And you are a heartfelt storyteller. I mean, you cannot watch a David Begnaud story and not feel something. I mean,
I love hearing that.
It's so beautiful the way you tell stories. So tell us about this story you have found in Greenville.
So 2 young girls came walking up holding an American Girl doll. And I had my dog with me. And so they were playing with the dog, and they just kept coming back. And finally they said, our mom said it's okay if we sit down and tell you our story. So they sit down and they tell me the most incredible story, which is, they live in Florida, they heard about the Hurricane Helene. Their mother wanted to do something that was character building, and so she got a whole bunch of used American Girl dolls. They dressed them up, they gave them a different name called Anna of Appalachia. They wrote a story about Anna of Appalachia, and then they looked for kids who had lost their homes and their dolls. And they started shipping these dolls to them. They're now in Greenville to drive into the mountains to meet some of the people who've lost everything and to meet the people who have gotten their dolls.
Oh, what a great
story. The beauty of that story is the character building. Because in the character building, you have people who are older in America who are going to want to stand up and clap. You're going to have parents who might be inspired to do the same. But you're going to have human beings of all ages, all sizes, all genders, all types, who are going to say, that's the America that I love.
Amen. That's awesome. I love that. What a great story.
That's the story.
So how long did it take to find your story this time?
36 hours.
Really?
36 hours. We had a woman who had given us a story, then called at midnight and said she had so much anxiety about telling her story, she didn't want to do it anymore, and can we not use any of it? And I was like, all right, so we'll start over again. But it was worth it. Yeah. It was worth it.
You found the gem.
The gem. Yeah.
And there are gems everywhere. Is that what you discovered?
And that's what this series challenges me to reinforce to myself, is no matter where you go, no matter the language that is spoken, there is a commonality and a unique relatability to all of us, right? And so you can come to my hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana, your now beloved town of Greenville, South Carolina. I can go anywhere in America and find something like this. But it's a challenge because not everybody wants to open up. And the key for me is if you sit in that chair, you've got to be willing to open up.
When you think about the stories you've told so far and the stories yet to come, do you rank them? Are they all? Is there one that stands out that so far has been the most special?
I'll tell you what stands out is that none of them I usually would have gone after.
Interesting.
And let me tell you why. We spend so much time looking at the layering and the depth and the context that we can bring to every story. There's a lot that goes into selecting what we pick to be a story on Begnaud's America, which airs every Monday morning at 8 a.m. on CBS Mornings. This requires me to not bring any of that judgment to the table. So somebody sits down and I have to, in the moment, start pulling from them whether or not there's a right. And so it's tough, it's hard, but they're the best slice of life stories. And the reason they work is because I find them in that moment. I find them in the moment alongside a waterfall in Greenville, South Carolina, in the middle of the day, as people are walking by going, what the hell is that? Some people take pictures. Other people say, I don't know if I have a story, and they come back a minute later and they're like, no, I have one. You know, we had a woman that sat down and said, I'm starting my life over again at 61 and I've never been happier. I had a man who grew up in Greenville who came up and said, I started a pop-up record store and I didn't know I could find the happiness that I found. His name was Brian. He's in his 30s. Had a professor from Clemson walk up and tell me about a study they had just found that finds that most people are cutting at least 30 minutes out of their day. And so the headline of his study is Going Nowhere Fast. These are 3 people who I wouldn't have otherwise intersected with.
Yeah.
But they dropped little gems. There was a man, a photographer, grew up here in Greenville, who said, got into the fashion business. And then I experienced things in the business that made me challenge what I am at my core and what I believe in. and it made me confront who I want to be and find another job.
Interesting.
These self-discoveries are what the rest of us can learn from. And so that's what I try and bring to our stories.
Greenville, South Carolina, what do you think?
I love it. And I can't wait to come back just to vacation.
And you're staying at a very swanky hotel right along
Let's
the river.
talk about that Grand Bohemian. I'm telling you. And the view from my hotel room, I posted on social media. I said, can y'all tell where we are? And somebody right away was like, are you in Greenville, South Carolina?
Really?
So it's pretty popular, this spot. And that's where we found our story. We set up right there near the waterfalls and put up all our signs. And I walked by and I was like, wait a minute, I think that's where Amy anchors the news, right here by the water.
Isn't that great?
So you guys have great digs.
Yeah,
great
awesome.
digs. And listen, kudos to you on an incredible continuing career.
Oh, thanks.
I think you challenge people like me to continue thinking of new ways to deliver information. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, David. You're the best.
I thank you for that.
So glad you're here, and we're glad you found a good story.
Me too. Pleasure.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.